What's up, Taiwan? I'm Jeremy Olivier with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. President Lai Ching-te will not be traveling overseas anytime soon. That's the response from Taiwan's presidential office to reports a diplomatic trip to Central and South America has been postponed. The tour was widely expected to include transits in the United States. Our reporter Reese Ayers joins us live now from outside the presidential office in Taipei. So Reese, what's happened with Lai's travel plans?
Well, Jeremy, those travel plans were never officially confirmed by the presidential office. They usually don't confirm travel plans until just a few days before they actually take place. But there were reports that there were meetings or conversations between Taiwan and countries like Guatemala, Belize, and Paraguay, which pointed to Lai possibly planning a trip to Central and South America to visit some of Taiwan's few remaining diplomatic allies in that part of the world. Now, there were also sources saying that that trip would include stopovers in the United States, in New York and Texas. But the presidential office issued an official statement that had this to say. They said that once the president's travel plans are finalized, that they'll be announced to the public then, but that given recent factors including bad weather in south of Taiwan, reciprocal tariff discussions with the United States and other regional developments, that as of right now, or at least for the near future, President Lai has no overseas trips planned. But there are reports from the Financial Times and also from Bloomberg that quote sources saying that Donald Trump actually denied President Lai permission to transit in the United States after facing some objections by China. Now, this comes as the US and Chinese officials are expected to meet in Stockholm for some new trade talks, but we haven't got any official comment from the White House about Lai's trip. But there is a Facebook post by former US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who herself angered China when she visited Taiwan a few years ago. She shared one of those reports on Facebook and said that it sends a dangerous signal that the United States can be bullied into silence when it comes to Taiwan. Now, China openly discourages other countries from allowing Taiwanese politicians to visit or even transit, and vice versa. But at a press conference here in Taipei this morning, Taiwan's Foreign Affairs Ministry reiterated the presidential office's comments about Lai's trip, but added this when asked about the rumors that the US had been bullied into denying Lai's transit by China.
不过我也要强调，就是说，事实上，台湾在做任何事情的时候，都会受到中国的抗议跟打压。那其实呢，我们应该要反问的是，中国政府它应该要思考如何在区域里面担任作为一个负责任的大国，怎么样去维持区域的和平稳定，而不是说，在台海、在南海、在东海，不时的制造升高危险紧张的情势。
Now, it seems that this may just be a delay to President Lai's trip and not a total cancellation. But given reports of the US trying to forge better ties with China, there is a lingering uncertainty about any future trip and whether or not it would be able to have a stopover in the United States.
Thanks, Reese. That was Reese Ayers live from outside the presidential office in Taipei. Now, for more on what President Lai's change of plans means for U.S.-Taiwan ties, Cadence Carranza spoke to Yang Guangshun from U.S.-Taiwan Watch.
Paraguay's president had announced that Taiwan President Lai Ching-te would be visiting the country, and media outlets had reported that the trip would also include visits to Guatemala and Belize, as well as stopovers in the U.S. But Monday, the presidential office put out a statement saying the president has no overseas plans because Taiwan is still recovering from recent typhoons and is still negotiating tariffs with the U.S. Why do you think that the Taiwan president may have called off plans for an overseas visit?
First of all, this trip was announced by Paraguayan president, not by neither Taiwanese or an American government. So I believe that this arrangement suggests that there was a plan for visiting Paraguay, but it is not set because visiting Paraguay or any Latin American allies would definitely transit in U.S., and that means that there should be some arrangement or understanding between Taipei and Washington, and it was not done.
Do you think that his decision not to travel was influenced by domestic factors, like the natural disasters that the presidential office mentioned?
Those issues are certainly factors. Obviously, it is the moment that the Lai administration wished to respond to the domestic public grievances rather than to score diplomatically. So the natural disaster like a typhoon has already generated quite amount of public grievances, which became which already become a point for the opposition party to question the governance of the Lai administration.
So, another element of all this that's getting a lot of attention right now is that the Financial Times published a report citing sources familiar with the situation, saying that the US had blocked Taiwan from doing a stopover in New York, and that was why he had called off travel plans. If this is true, do you see this as a change or a setback to Taiwan US relations, given that the US has allowed these kinds of stopovers before?
I don't think that there will be a visit or a transit at that level for now. But it didn't really mean that there is a fundamental change in the Taiwan-U.S. relations. The nature of Taiwan-U.S. relations looks more to the increase or improvements of interactions or engagement in with more issues with substance. Like, for example, as we can see, there are some American military observers in Taiwan's annual Hanguang exercises. And there's some report about the potential U.S. arms deals with Taiwan and the U.S. And just like I mentioned, there can be the trade negotiations is still ongoing. So that is the nature of Taiwan-U.S. relation, which have improved over the years. That I will look more to rather than only looking at the high-level visits, high-level meeting, or even high-level meeting, and it's more than that, right?
That was Yang Guangshun from U.S. Taiwan Watch. Top U.S. and Chinese officials have begun new trade talks in Sweden. The world's two largest economies are seeking to extend a delicate truce. Tariffs of more than 100% from both sides are set to resume on August 12th. The pair will focus on bringing stability to relations after disputes escalated over issues including trade imbalances, industrial subsidies, and U.S. export controls on advanced tech. Talks could also pave the way for a possible meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping later this year. Donald Trump is urging Russian President Vladimir Putin to take steps to end the war in Ukraine as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm going to make a new deadline of about 10 or 12 days from today. There's no reason in waiting. There's no reason in waiting. It's 50 days. I want to be generous, but we just don't see any progress being made.
Trump has threatened more sanctions on Russia and countries that buy Russian exports in an effort to bring peace to Ukraine. Moscow did not immediately comment, but Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed the U.S. move.
І ми неодноразово говорили, і всі партнери це знають, що санкції – це ключовий елемент. Росія зважає на санкції, зважає на такі втрати, мир завдяки силі можливий. Україна, як і завжди, готова максимально продуктивно працювати з Америкою. Працювати з президентом Трампом заради того, щоб закінчити цю війну достойно і тривалим миром.
Hundreds of thousands of people have been killed since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Russia has been increasingly targeting civilians with drone and missile strikes. Thailand and Cambodia have reached a ceasefire after days of fighting on their border that killed dozens. Displaced people on both sides are happy to hear the news, but also unsure how likely it is that peace will hold. John Van Trieste reports.
With this handshake, fierce border clashes between Thailand and Cambodia are set to stop. The leaders of the two countries are face-to-face next to the mediator, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, and they've agreed to a ceasefire without conditions from midnight Monday. It's a breakthrough in a conflict that's worried not just regional neighbors, but the big global powers. During the ceasefire talks, China urged a quick truce. And with that truce now settled, U.S. President Donald Trump has offered his congratulations. The biggest relief, though, is along the Thai-Cambodian border. At least 36 people are dead and more than 300,000 people displaced on both sides. They've had to take shelter wherever they can find it, including in makeshift camps like this one on the Cambodian side. Here, there is hope.
This is really good news for us. I think all the people will be very happy with this announcement.
But also skepticism.
I will wait and see. Despite the ceasefire, I won't go tomorrow. I have to wait until the fighting really stops, so I think I will go back the day after tomorrow.
Across the border in Thailand, it's the same story of joy mixed with suspicion.
I'm happy about that and feeling a bit relieved. We normal people who had to leave home will all be happy to be able to go back home. We miss our home.
I don't believe Cambodia because I don't think they would easily give up. We would have demanded some conditions for a ceasefire, and I don't think they would have accepted and so easily agreed with us.
Further talks between the two sides are set for Tuesday as displaced people get ready to head home. And the foreign and defense ministers of Thailand, Cambodia, and Malaysia are supposed to come up with a way to make sure the peace holds in the long run and locals can live in safety. But this isn't the first time border tensions have flared up. And with those tensions still high, a lasting truce is far from guaranteed. Joseph Wu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
North Korea says it's unwilling to give up its nuclear weapons. Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, has dismissed a U.S. push to resume denuclearization talks. She says relations between her brother and U.S. President Donald Trump are not bad, but added that using that personal relationship to discuss denuclearization would be, quote, a mockery. Trump and Kim met in 2018 and 2019. North Korea has ramped up nuclear weapons testing in recent years. Heavy rain and landslide warnings are still in effect for some counties in central and southern Taiwan, where some residents are already struggling. Officials have issued dozens of alerts for Jiayi, Tainan, Kaohsiung, and Pingtung, but some residents are frustrated that those announcements came too late. The intense rainfall has dealt a heavy blow to the region, which is still cleaning up from the damage caused by Typhoon Denas. Large-scale emergency operations are now underway. At least 30 people have died in and around Beijing as intense rainfall floods the area. Over 100 villages have lost electricity and several roads have been cut off. The extreme weather also triggered landslides in some areas. Around 80,000 people have been evacuated, with authorities airlifting people out and airdropping supplies in. More rain is forecast for the area in the coming week. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more of our stories. Finally, today we leave you with images from Bolivia's Peloton, a dog race promoting responsible pet ownership. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, follow TaiwanPlus on socials. Pika!
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app.